Well, I've taken my thing because you never know if we come across the same site. That tree, the way things are in Australia, that tree could still be there and you might still be able to recognise that tree. As I said, things come back from bushfire and things like that. Got my new mittens, got my beanie. I might need that if it gets, you know, you've got to keep your head warm. Got some extra bullets, electrical bullets, so yeah. And I've got my rain jacket on today rather than the thing I tie around my waist, so I think we need to make a move on. And of course I better take my clock today. Got it last time. Okay, and now I can see some pylons there. This might, oh yes, there's some pylons going across there, so hopefully if we see that pylon we'll be right. But I'm probably going to get spots and spits and spots on the camera lens, so this looks pretty new. Looks like only the Shingleback track. Now that sounds familiar for some reason. Now I'm still on the first card, so we've had what? This is about the fourth segment, so it should be running out any time soon. So prepare yourself. Ah, we've got some more signage. But look at this. This is looking like this now. And what, with the 11th or 12th of April 2014, so you know, amazing. You wait, when we get to the normal start of the season, which is like the third week of May, it'll look absolutely spectacular, I think. I mean, that's why WA is just so amazing. Now what do we got here? Oh, okay, so where's your foot wiping area then, if you're making such a big fuss about it here? Yeah, this introduced fungus penetrates roots, stopping the uptake of water and nutrients. Critical, so it then affects the xylem then, does it? Rather than the phloem, which is all the sugars. As I say, it's very, very funny that they use phosphoric acid on phosphorus sensitive flora to combat that sort of disease. Makes me wonder that the disease is actually a result of a lack of understanding of the natural system. There's something else going on. It's a bit like the frogs. Why are the frogs dying out? And they find out, well, it's the lack of salinity and things like that. Yeah, the natural salinity in the environment. Yeah, Australia now being probably one of the most saltiest continents on the planet, because we've had at least 3 massive inundations of the open ocean into the centre of the continent, and the weight of which is pushed down on the continent, causing like a dish-like effect in the centre to one side, sort of thing, which means that we've got many rivers in the continent that don't flow to the ocean, which is also unusual comparing to all the other continents, where most rivers flow to the open ocean eventually, whereas, I don't know, don't quote me on these figures, was it 2/3 of the rivers in Australia don't do that? And quite a lot of them end up basically the salt lake, the massive, well, which is not singular really, a collection of salt bearing lakes. I mean, you can look all this up, you can go into much more detail, but is this the pylon? Or were we looking at the pylon further on? This might actually be the track, fellas. Now that footage, the pylon, as I swung the camera around, was on the left, so I may have been down there looking back at this pylon here. So yeah, I recognise the see, this is the thing, I have a memory for slope, and you know, and sort of environmental derivation sort of thing, all this sort of, yeah, this is, yep. I just can't believe it. It looks so similar compared to that was from 2002. We're now 2014. That's 12 years ago, over a decade ago, and yet it's barely changed. And that's one thing about the Australian bush. You have a bushfire, but it comes back in nothing really much changes. You know, you can just think about 80,000 years of Aboriginal occupation. You can see why, can't you? Well, if nothing changes, why do you change? If you know, if it just goes back, and you know it just goes back the same way, there's no real need for change. Do you understand what I'm trying to get at there? It's probably a bit of a subtle point there. You know, people talk about, well, why didn't they invent writing and printing? And I say, well, they did in a way. They had message sticks and, you know, pictorial diagrams. You know, they've got dot painting. You know, no other cultures invented that sort of thing. It's sort of almost like Morse code for pictures, or T-line shorthand for pictures or something. You know, you got to think about it. You know, but they've had their Leonardo da Vinci's in the making of the boomerangs, the woomers, and all that. You know. Yeah, someone, what was the other day, said, but how can a boomerang go further than a cannon shot? And I'm saying, well, it's really basically a derivation of Archimedes' principle. You know, give me a lever long enough and I'll move the world. If you've ever looked at boomerangs, the flutes on the boomerang are like dimples on a golf ball for a start, and then if you really look at a boomerang, most of them have one arm that's slightly, it's not that it's one arm that's longer than the other, it's one arm is sort of like, it's like a heavy-ended club stick sort of thing. So you put it's like having a walnut on the end of a stick, but you actually keep the walnut attached to the stick in a way. I'm going to have to go out to a park and show you how far you can actually make a walnut go on the end of a stick using, well, it's not just Archimedes' principle of the lever, it's also the fact that